party. That's all right. I now call on Deputy Martin Hayden and Brendan Griffin, who are sharing 10 minutes.
Thanks very much, Cathaoirleach, and I welcome the opportunity to speak on what is a very important topic of crime and very broad ranging, as previous speakers have said. I am going to start by focusing on Garda numbers because, as a TD representing Kildare, it's a very significant issue and one that constantly comes up about our Garda resources, and we have a historical issue in Kildare that we have a low ratio of Gardaí to population. And you know, when during the good times a lot of Gardaí were coming out of Templemore, we didn't get our fair share into Kildare, and at the same time the population of the county grew exponentially, and that leaves us in the mess we're in, that we don't have as many as we would like, and leaves our existing Garda resources under significant pressure. And I would like to acknowledge the role the Minister Fitzgerald has played in reopening Templemore in 2014, and you know, working closely with the Commissioner in addressing that shortfall, and that allowed the Commissioner and senior officers within the Gardaí to start to address the issues in Kildare. And out of every class that's come out of Templemore since 2014, Kildare has got an allocation, and that's a very significant development. It's acknowledgement of the fact that we have a shortage. Only recently we had 9 newly appointed Garda sergeants, and we're now in a situation that on the 1st of May 2016 there are more Garda sergeants and more Gardaí than there were in crucial, and I would very much support that. We're at a figure of 12,800 at present, but you know, I understand that there's 1,500 officers are entitled to retire this year, by the end of this year, with 800 of these under the current rules supposed to retire. And I think, you know, I can understand that more than the Defence Forces, there is merit in keeping our Garda force young and agile to a certain extent, and that there's only a certain lifespan of a Garda because of the very difficult nature of the job. But I think in this exceptional times where we are coming off the back of 5 years of Templemore having been closed, and we have low Garda numbers, we need to beef them back up. Young recruits out of Templemore alone won't be enough. And I would suggest, for a short period, a relaxation of the retirement rules for those Gardaí who don't want to retire, who have very, very significant experience, that they will be given that opportunity to serve for another couple of years and allow the new recruits coming through into the system to gain that valuable experience from them, because that is an issue that we have in Kildare as well, where we lose really, really experienced Gardaí, and as well as the new recruits that are very welcome into Kildare. I've been back and forth with the Commissioner and by correspondence expressing the desire and the need for Kildare to be able to get transfers of experienced Gardaí in. We're a county that would be very attractive for Gardaí based in Dublin who are from down the country to want to come to work in, because it might be closer to Tipperary or Kilkenny or Cork where they're from than the Dublin basis. But our present structure means that any chief super anywhere in the country never feels he's enough Gardaí, and he or she is not going to allow a transfer of a Guard if you're not getting one back in return. So what does that leave somewhere like Kildare that has historically low numbers and doesn't have the Guard to give back? There are plenty of Gardaí based in Dublin and around that would like to move to Kildare, would like to work there and have a lot to offer. And I'm just saying, young recruits alone into Kildare won't do it. So the letter and correspondence I got back from the Assistant Commissioner stating that they would allow transfers into Kildare needs to be acted upon. And we need those Gardaí who are actively looking for transfers into Kildare. It's going to have to go above Chief Super level. The Commissioner and Assistant Commissioners are going to have to take this on to ensure that those transfers happen, because, as I say, I don't expect any Chief Super just to give up Gardaí easily. But that redistribution is really important to make sure that every part of the country evenly is well reflected. And I think, you know, looking at those retirement laws as rules as a short-term measure is definitely one key element as we look at that. You know, I would just like to mention Operation Tor and the huge impact it's had as a short-term measure. We were having, on average, in the Kildare district, 18 to 19 burglaries a week last year, and this year the most recent information I have is that that's down at about 4 a week. And that can be directly linked back to the extra man-hours that was able to be put in place and the targeted work that there was in breaking up a gang of in around 20 youths in the Newbridge area that were carrying out a large number of crimes, and a particularly organised gang in the Castleermit area. There are 6 to 7 people before the courts. Some are serving time already for some of these measures, and that can be directly linked back to Tor, and that can be directly linked back to the drop in crime numbers. So there are key targeted measures that can be made with those extra resources. And when we talk about those extra resources, Carla, I think it's really important that we acknowledge that you know, we'll talk about Garda stations, and I welcome any review of Garda stations, but just remember that the Garda stations we had up until 2012, we inherited from the British state. And if anybody tells me we should just go back to that system from the 1800s because it's for historical reasons, I think we need to look at a much more targeted measure. I want to see more Gardaí, boots on the ground, and better resource with ICT and Garda equipment, rather than saying we just open up every Garda station that there was historically that we got from the British. There's a lot more I'd like to say, but in deference to my colleague, I'll hand over now. Thank you.
Deputy Brendan Griffin, please. 5 minutes.
Appreciate the opportunity to speak in this, and breaking from my Kerry colleagues' approach to things. I'm not going to blame God for crime in this country, and I'm going to try to speak about some issues that